All right, welcome. Today we are diving into something that is, well, a bit of a head-scratcher. We've got a corporate document that looks super important. You know, the kind of file that should map out a company's entire future. But as we're about to find out, the real story here isn't what's in the file, it's what's missing.
I know, it sounds like a riddle, right? But seriously, that's the big mystery we're unpacking today. We're going to dig into a file that's basically a digital black hole and try to figure out what that silence could possibly be screaming at us. So here it is. The file is called for_corporate_restructure.pdf. Just hearing that title, your brain probably jumps to some pretty big conclusions. I mean, a corporate restructure is a massive, massive deal for any company.
Yeah, you'd expect this thing to be jam-packed. We're talking new org charts showing who reports to who now, spreadsheets filled with financial predictions, big-picture strategic goals, a list of who's getting moved where, and of course, a schedule for the whole shebang. This document should be the blueprint.
Okay, so let's do it. Let's crack this thing open. We've got our expectations all set. We're ready for some dense, juicy corporate strategy. We open the file and
This is what we see. The first page is just hash marks, a wall of them. At first you think, okay, weird, maybe it's a cover page or some kind of loading glitch. So naturally, you scroll down.
And it's not just the first page, it's page after page of the exact same thing. It's like staring into digital static where a huge detailed plan is supposed to be. But then, just as you're about to give up, you see something.
Right when you're ready to write the whole thing off as a corrupted file, you spot it. A tiny, tiny break in the pattern. One little anomaly floating in this sea of hash marks.
And this is it. A tiny little piece of ASCII art. You've got an equal sign, an open parenthesis, and an underscore comma thing. It almost looks like, what, a winking face? A secret signature? Whatever it is, it's the only unique thing in the entire document. So this really sets up the two paths we can go down, right? On one hand, is this just junk? A few random keystrokes that got saved by accident? A little bit of data corruption? Or is it on purpose? A tiny hidden mark left by whoever made the file? A deliberate symbol in an otherwise empty canvas?
But as cool as that little symbol is, we gotta zoom back out and look at the whole picture. Because the real clue isn't just that one tiny symbol, it's the fact that the entire document is, well,
here's the most important point. The corporate restructure plan is, for all intents and purposes, an empty file. Those hash marks, they're just filler. The actual content, the plan itself, just isn't there. And that's way more interesting than any typo.
You know, in the corporate world, they actually have a name for something like this. It's called a placeholder document. It's basically a file you create just to save a spot in a folder, kind of like putting a reserved sign on a table. It signals that a document is coming eventually. The details just aren't ready yet.
So if we run with that idea, that this is an intentional placeholder, what is it telling us? All of a sudden, the lack of information becomes the information, and that opens up a few really interesting possibilities.
okay, let's break down these three theories, because they each paint a very different picture. First, you've got the simple explanation, a technical error. The file's just busted. This suggests maybe a little sloppiness, but not a big drama. But things get way more interesting with theory number two. It's an intentional placeholder. This means a restructure is absolutely on the table, but the details are so up in the air that nothing can be written down. That signals deep uncertainty. And for investors, it might mean the leadership team can't agree on what to do. The silence here is tense. It's the sound of a plan that is stalled out. Then you've got the third and most dramatic theory, purposeful deletion. This implies that there was a plan in here, but it was so sensitive, so controversial, that somebody had to wipe it clean. Now we're not talking about a plan in progress. We're talking about the ghost of a plan that was killed. This could point to anything from a huge internal power struggle to a plan with serious legal problems that needed to be buried fast. In this scenario, the empty file is a cover-up.
And all of this brings us to one last big thought. This empty file, this document with literally nothing to say, kind of forces us to ask a bigger question, doesn't it? In a world where we're drowning in data and constant communication, what does it mean when the message is a powerful, deliberate, and deafening silence? What kind of secrets can an empty space really hold?